point being is I went home that night on New Year's Eve and hadn't had a drink at all that night, right? And what happened was I drove home and unfortunately got in a crazy, crazy accident where someone hit me on a motorcycle. And that night I was actually thrown in jail for murder because the gentleman died a couple hours later. And unfortunately, there were some circumstances that played a part in it. And it looked like I hit him when he had hit me. So that circumstance put me behind, honestly, I was stuck in that conversation for about a year and a half, fighting to clear my name, showing my innocence, showing I was dead sober when the accident happened. But unfortunately, all the circumstances did not play a part in my favor. So I had to go to jail. I went to jail from March 1st, 2018 to June 22nd, 2018. I was in jail for 113 days, actually 118.
And now, Escaping the Drift, the show designed to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm John Gafford, and I have a knack for getting extraordinary achievers to drop their secrets to help you on a path to greatness. So stop drifting along, escape the drift, and it's time to start right now.
Back again for another episode of the podcast. Like it says in the opening, gets you from where you are to where you want to be. And today, beaming live into the studio, I got a cat that is going to blow you away. This is a guy who has lived 1,000 lives in a very short amount of time. He was a bigwig in the reality show casting biz back in the day. He is a life coach based out of Los Angeles. He is the author of the book, Be the Beast You Are, an approach to living your life fully unleashed. And guys, he's going to bring the heat today. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shawn Antonio. Shawn, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hello, what's happening, Johnny?
Man, I'm glad to have you on, dude. Been too long since I've seen you. Always good to see you. Man, dude, you have had, like, again, you have a man that's lived 1,000 lives, some of them good, some of them bad. So you've done some amazing stuff. You had a huge setback and an amazing comeback. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, let's start out with kind of how you met my wife, was through the reality show casting world. So how you met her.
Yeah. So hi, everybody out there listening. Thank you guys for checking in. Great to be with you all who are watching or listening. So yeah, I met your wife. I met Gidget back in the early 2000s. Actually, I was just starting my events company before I became a life coach. I had one of the top events companies in Los Angeles for about 18 years. So it's called Shawn Antonio Presents. And back then I was casting TV shows for Blind Date, the reality show back then, and hosting events all over Hollywood and in Vegas and so on and so forth, Chicago, Dallas, the whole nine. But I met Gidget back then and I asked her to be on the show. She came on to be a potential participant on the show, and her and her friend Cheryl, which I haven't talked to Cheryl in years, but Cheryl, she came on and they both auditioned and Gidget made it. Personality, looks, all the things that we needed on Blind Date, she did it. So that's how we met initially. And then I started doing a lot of stuff at the Palms in Vegas because my assistant back then, she was in relations with one of the very famous people that lived in Vegas at that point in time. So I was in Vegas all the time at the Palms and visiting. And then I started doing events in Vegas. Gidget and I got super tight. And when she made the show, it was pretty funny. And we kept our friendship. And then she worked at the Palms. So I would see her at the Palms all the time. So I was at the Palms at one point, once a week, because I was hosting events out there all the time. So that's how it started.
Thank God you were great at casting women and terrible at casting men, because I guess her Blind Date was kind of a colossal failure, which is, hey, if it would have gone good, I don't know if we're having this conversation right now, and I don't know if we're married. So I'm gonna be grateful that you weren't that good at that portion of your job. I guess.
I'm serious. That's amazing.
So, dude, I remember you were balling back in Vegas back in the day, and life was coming pretty quick, and a lot of amazing stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And then you had a little bit of a tragedy. Let's get into that. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So out of events, I learned how to run places and operate places. So at that point in time, I was running a place here in Hollywood, and I was a GM of the place. And it was one of the hottest spots in town. I won't mention it because it doesn't matter. But point being is I went home that night on New Year's Eve and hadn't had a drink at all that night, right? And what happened was I drove home and unfortunately got in a crazy, crazy accident where someone hit me on a motorcycle. And that night I was actually thrown in jail for murder because the gentleman died a couple hours later. And unfortunately, there were some circumstances that played a part in it. And it looked like I hit him when he had hit me. So that circumstance put me behind, honestly, I was stuck in that conversation for about a year and a half, fighting to clear my name, showing my innocence, showing I was dead sober when the accident happened. But unfortunately, all the circumstances did not play a part in my favor. So I had to go to jail. I went to jail from March 1st, 2018 to June 22nd, 2018. I was in jail for 113 days, actually 118. So I spent 5 days when I first got in my accident sitting there waiting to be released because they were trying to figure out what to do with me. Because when somebody gets hit in an accident, you can't figure out who did what. So it was a lot of mitigating circumstances that played a part. But man, it was a rough year and a half, man. Rough, almost 2 years, you know.
Because at that point, if I'm correct, you and your wife had just had a baby at that point. I mean, you had a young child. Yeah.
Our daughter Viva she was a year, not even a year. Yeah, a year and change. She had August 26th was her birthday that year of 2016. So my accident happened January 1st, 2017. So she's a year and change old. It was pretty catastrophic. And I thought I was doing the right thing going home, being a good boy, not doing stupid stuff and just going home. And bam, something changed my life. Took me in another trajectory.
Okay, so when you get convicted and they say you have to go to jail and you're sitting there, what was that time like in jail? What choices did you make that changed the direction of what you were trying to do?
Well, it was, first of all, it was a lot of thoughts because, I've never gotten in trouble like that or anything like that. So I'm sitting in jail wondering what happens now? What do I do? What do I say? I was sitting there for those 5 days in my head, like, this is a tragic situation, but how do I clear my name, get myself out of this situation? So a lot of thoughts happened there. When I got released, I had to, lawyer up and figure out what that whole experience looked like. And for that year and a half, I was under their tutelage of like what to do, what not to do, I had to stop everything. So I went into mini depression. When I say mini, it was pretty massive. I was in a depression for about 6 months. My wife, Alicia, my badass wife, Alicia, much like your Gidget, she said, "Hey, you're in a depression." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You're not yourself right now." And I sat with it and I just said, "Okay, what am I going to do with that?" In the midst of that depression, you mentioned one of my books. I wrote 2 books. The first one you just mentioned, Be the Beast You Are. I wrote that. I started that February 14th, actually Valentine's Day of 2017. So I was right in the midst of my depression. And I said, you know what? I got to write something that inspires me and breaks through. So it took 3 months. And I wrote Be the Beast You Are, and I released it on July 20th of 2017, again, in the midst of my whole thing. And that really helped me rehab my brain, rehab what had happened. I didn't want to play victim. I want to take responsibility for all my actions that cause or contribute to the moment. So I just had to sit through it. And writing is what got me through it. Writing, being around people who love me, who support me, who know who I am, who know the truth of what happened, all of that really got me through that depression. So I sat in it for about 6 months. Book number 2, Having Amazing Relationships, followed that up. And I released that October 20th of 2017. And that's about your relationships all being juicy and connected and amazing, because that's what I was experiencing. Through my moment of demise and tragedy, my village showed up. My friends, my family, people who love me, they supported me. They said, "Shawn, what happened? What do you need?" And I told them, I just need your love, your quality time, whatever you want to do, when you want to show up, be there for me. So I allowed in a way I'd never allowed before, because I was so busy doing all the time. I allowed people to show up in a way I never, really knew I needed. I needed that, my village,
Yeah. So you had a lot of people show up. Do you have any people kind of go away because of this?
I lost a lot of people, actually. A bunch of people actually just vanished. People that were actually there the night I actually left my job and came home. There's some friends who were actually at the event that night that I still haven't spoken to this day. So I lost some people. Some people believe that I did end up drinking and driving and killing this man. And that's not what happens. So the people who were courageous enough or close enough to me to say, "Hey, Shawn, what happened?" and ask me the truth, those people are still in my life. The other ones, they just faded to black. And honestly, at first I was really hurt. I was really in my feelings. I was like, wow, my friends that I, spend time with, care about, known for years, vanished. A couple of them said to me that came back after time, said, "I didn't know what to say to you, Shawn." I go, "You could have just asked me what happened. And I would have told you exactly what happened,
Or just how you feeling.
Yeah, and that was a little hurtful. I definitely took it personal back then. I was like, oh man, where's my closest people that were with me the week before? Where are they? But honestly, a bunch of them have showed up over the years and been like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I vanished. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to believe." I'm like, cool. I was always a text away, a call away, So I got through the feelings. I let that go. I stopped making it mean something about me and let it mean something more about what they were going through. And that's it. I stopped taking it personal. That's when I started to master the art of not taking things personal. That's a huge
I think part of it is, I kind of came through not the jail stuff, but at one point I was the GM of what Esquire magazine called the #1 nightclub on the East Coast of the United States. And that was Cobalt Lounge in Atlanta. Okay. And then after kind of the Ray Lewis debacle of the Super Bowl of 2000, that kind of ended that club, right? It kind of dried up. And what I realized was, in a weird sort of way, was, again, I went through a depression after that, because my whole avatar, my whole self-worth got wrapped up in that job. Like, because there was, much like probably you in LA at that time, there was no place I could not go. I waited for nothing. I paid for nothing. Yeah. It was velvet rope clicking everywhere I went. And everybody wanted to be close to you because of what you were. And then when that went away, well, now all of a sudden it was like, well, whoa, how many people around me are real, and how many people were around me because of that? Yeah. And it kind of made me jaded for a long time on relationships, and very suspect of people going forward. Like, is it about what I can give you, or is it about who I really am? Did any of that happen to you?
That's exactly some of the emotional places I went through. By the way, John, I can't see you on screen for some reason, but I'm looking at myself, but I can't see you.
You can't? Oh, because I've locked you up here. That's why. Okay,
cool. No worries.
Hang on a minute. I'm going to unlock you, because I'm looking here. Let me do that. Hang on.
You want to see your pretty face while we're talking?
Hang on a minute. Yeah, well, it's weird. It's weird to talk about this and look at yourself. So
it's the first time. So
let me undo that. But there we go. Well, hang on.
Yeah, to answer your question, as you do that, I'll hang on. But yeah, I'll answer your question in a minute.
Yeah, keep going. We're going to keep talking here.
Question, dude. It was, I knew that my Shawn Antonio, because at that point in time, Shawn Antonio, my brand, and Shawn Antonio Presents, there you go. Welcome back.
There we go.
What happened is, my brand, I was so big here in Los Angeles and Vegas. I opened up Wet Republic. I worked at Tao and all the Tao properties. I worked at all the Light Group properties. I was a big brand here in Los Angeles and Vegas, and did some stuff out all over the country. So when people did leave, I was a thing. Right? Like, I was access for people. I was nightlife. I was pool parties. I was mansion. I was celebrity events. So my identity of Shawn Antonio, I was so used to being used, but it was also my business. So when this thing happened and all that went away, right? Like you said, Cobalt, right? I was at the Phoenix in Hollywood, which is still open. I opened up Phoenix Hollywood, and I blew it up. Crushed it. So when that identity of that person got blown up, I had to really rediscover who I am, what my face is, what people are in my life because they love me, what people care about me. And that was a really tough moment, because I was so used to being the guy that people come to for all this stuff, right? But then when that went away, who showed up was really important. And that's what really mattered to me, because the people that showed up were like, hey, I'm not just using you for your brand or who you are. I'm using you because I care about you, Shawn. But yeah, there's definitely some people I lost, and I was like, oh man, where'd my people go? Yeah. We had a guest in here today, right now, visiting real quick. His name is Finn Mito. My little boy just came in to say hi. So
there you go, say it, man.
He's in here saying hi. So I guess he's gonna hang out with us for a minute. So it's totally cool. I love him. My your son, Finn Mito.
There he is. No. So, well, let me ask you this. So when you got out of the other side of this because of some of that, is that why you didn't go back into nightlife? Because you were like, okay, I want something that's a little more real, or
you know what? I was building my coaching brand since 2003. So Shawn Antonio, life coaching, I started building it in 2003, and I wasn't fully committed to it yet. In 2008, I started coaching people, so mostly my celebrity friends. And then in 2011, Alicia and I, when she first joined me as my business partner, she said, hey, you have your brand, our brand, right? Your nightlife brand, but why don't you start a coaching brand as well? So I did. I launched it, but I didn't fully commit to it. When the accident happened, it kind of shook me to like, what am I doing in nightlife? I've been in nightlife. I was a choreographer dancer in Miami and New York from 13 to 24. I have my own dance company from 22 to 24. So I lived in nightlife in that capacity. Then I come to LA back in Blind Date days and all those nightlife days. And I was in nightlife from 1999 to 2017. Nightlife was everything for me, right? It was nonstop. And outside of that, I wanted to be responsible for living my purpose. And life coaching was so organic, and it was so what I studied. I've been studying psychology most of my life. I didn't go therapist style, but I was really good at it. So life coaching took over. And in 2017, while I was writing those 2 books, I went deep into the rabbit hole and said, hey, let me build some tools, some psychology, and some things to really take my coaching brand to the next level. I had a captive audience. I had friends all over the world, millions of people I've, hosted at my events. So I had people to talk to. So I just looked at who I had around me and just said, all right, Shawn, it's time to fall into that. And it just pivoted everything, shifted everything.
Which came first there, the chicken or the egg? Meaning, because like you mentioned, you had celebrity clients kind of out of the box. Is that something that did people come to you like, hey, Shawn, you seem like you know what I need to do. Let's do this. Or were you like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then went to them and said, hey, I have this coaching program?
Dude, you know what? It was so organic. I was in my nightlife persona, giving people advice at my events, helping them through breakdowns, relationships, depressions. Some people were suicidal. Some of my friends are huge celebrities who have big houses and mansions and they're world famous and the whole nine, and they were still stuck. So it was organic. I didn't know what life coaching was. I didn't know what becoming an international life coaching brand looked like. I just knew that I had a knack for seeing people and knowing the psychology behind human behavior and all the things I'd studied and read and all that stuff. So it was organic. It was never forced. So, but yeah, once I launched it, I said, hey, everybody, I'm now fully a life coach. And a lot of my friends came my way, and it was really cool. Most of my clients right now are my friends. I don't even call them clients. They're my friends who I coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that, because obviously, people like to follow the trends, people like to follow this. Was there any client you got off the bat that like made it much easier to get other clients?
You know what? There is one, and he lives in Houston right now, but he was somebody I ran into one day after I sold my car. We had just sold, we had a BMW X3 we loved, and we sold it, and I bumped into him, and he was like, hey, Shawn, I heard you're life coaching now. Can I be your client? And I said, fuck yeah, let's talk about it, And from him, he created this thing for me I now call cluster coaching. He gave me 28 people in his world. And how it started was he gave me his mom, his current girlfriend at that point in time. And then that spawned from the current girlfriend gave me another friend, and mom gave me another friend. And then he gave me constant people. And then those people gave me people. So out of him, I think right now, I'm at like 39 people out of one person.
Out of that one client.
Out of that one client / friend who is still a good friend who wanted me to, he said, hey, can I sign on for 10 years? When somebody says they want to be your client for 10 years as a coach, you were like, I was like, oh, emotionally now. But yeah, he jumped in. That was 2019. And since him, he's given me so many people. I got to coach his mom for a year and a half. Unfortunately, she passed of COVID. But I coached her till pretty much the day she was gone. That was amazing. Like, I'll talk about heart, man. So yeah, there is a lot of that happens. A lot of my people give me their people, their moms, dads, cousins, sisters, brothers. So it clusters out.
How many clients do you coach any given time?
Anywhere between, on a slow week, which is not never slow, but on a slow week, it's 19 people. On a big week, it's 52 is my biggest week. And that 52 week was a lot because it was pretty much all day, 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day, 5 days, and it was one day I did 12 hours. It was a little bit too much. I did too much that Friday after coaching all week. I needed some decompression. So I went and meditated and grounded and like went for a walk, went for a run, just like get all of that out of me. Because 52 people, 52 hours of stuff. Yeah. And being so sharp, each phone call, I had 30 seconds between phone calls.
Oh my God. Okay, when you've got that kind of a workload, how did you reset yourself between each one to make sure that everybody gets their best? How do you do that?
Do my homework at night on who I'm coaching that day, have it kind of prepped in my head. So curating each one of their sessions, being present, slowing down, having their life work / homework for them so they can get it. And then the last 5 or 10 minutes, we review what they got out of it and what they're going to go do and where they might stumble. So I leave them super empowered to do that, right? So that's one person. Same thing for all the other people. At the end of the day, what I would do, I go sit on my front porch when I lived in West Hollywood. I'm in Hollywood now, but Alicia, wifey, would be like, hey, go do your decompression thing. I just go sit and be for half an hour. No phone, no nothing. Just let my thoughts come out, just ground, take my shoes off and my socks off, put my feet in the grass and just meditate and just sit there and be and like release. And I think that's what we all mess up in. Us people who are out in the world who are entrepreneurs and doing all this crazy stuff, we don't decompress well. So we carry all this energy from work and stress and we're not good at it. And I realized I was terrible at it back then. So I had to start grounding, earthing, going to be in Mother Nature, going to sit, going to do things that light me up, going for runs, I fell in love with running back in 2022 because I needed it. I started needing that therapy. My therapy is running 6-7 miles a day. And that became like an addiction for me, but it was cleansing. Something healthy. That's what I recommend for decompression. I tell some of my clients, on your drive home from work, listen to your favorite music. so you can separate work from home. And on the way home, you're not just obsessing over work. You're clearing out your brain so you can be a fully present mother, partner, friend, whatever it is, right? So we got to get better about decompression tactics for ourselves.
Well, you mentioned that is a problem, but now you've got enough clients out there that you probably see some trends and some pattern recognition over a lot of people. So what problems would you say, if they were concurrent over the majority of your clients? Like what are issues people are having?
Let's go.
How do
I got a bunch. I'll list them off right now today. Self-love. Really loving on yourself, getting rid of all the negative narratives you have about yourself. Any I call them false narratives. I also call them, your filters. There's a bunch of different ways people say it, right? Your self-imposed stories you put on yourself, right? So self-love, big one. A lot of people do not know how to love themselves and really care about who they truly are and accept everything they are. That's part one. Part two.
Hang on. What's the solution for that? So how do you walk them through that?
Self-love. Find out who you really are outside of your identity, right? Like if I took off my glasses right now, right? And out of, and I love my glasses, I wear them all the time. But like if you just can tear apart what you think you're supposed to be versus who you truly are. Because we're born a certain way, born a culture, born a different skin color, whatever it may be, right? And the way you dissect that is, what are the stories and false narratives you're telling yourself every day? Are you judging yourself? Are you giving yourself a hard time? Are you holding yourself to unrealistic expectations? Are you still living in some of your trauma from your childhood or your last relationship? Are you jaded from when your friends vanished from your crazy accident? You gotta deconstruct all that stuff and see where you're not loving on yourself. And I always say to people, especially now, do 1, 2, 3 things a day that's self-love oriented. That's only for John, only for Alicia, only for Gidget, only for Shawn. 1 thing, 2 things a day that has nothing to do with work or kids' responsibilities, something that lights you up.
Yeah.
And fall in love with yourself. That's a really big deal. A lot of us have a lot of undealt with trauma and incomplete stories we're still walking around with.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, like one of the most useful things that I've done probably in the last, probably 5 months or so was I had something that happened and I had a kind of a visceral negative reaction to it. And I was like, man, I don't think I should be this angry about this. I think I'm far too mad about what's going on. And so I'm trying to remember how I got to what I did. And I don't know so I was very angry and I looked something up and it kind of came back where it was talking about, somehow I wound it up on Carl Jung and your shadow self.
Oh, cool.
I landed on that. Right.
Yeah, great.
And so I was like, all right, so let's try to get in touch with this. So I went into Gemini and I created a project where I said, okay, you're an expert on everything that Carl Jung has ever taught and the shadow self and all of these things. And I want you to ask me 50 questions about myself. So I'll know more about myself than I ever have. And then I went through this thing with Gemini. So now I have this bot that now knows so much about me. And I answered very honestly about a lot. And now what happens is when I find something hits me in a way that, or like you wake up, like I used to wake up in the middle of the night, like just wake up and the circus would go off, right? And you're like, bad. Like now I just roll over and I'm like, hey, I woke up and I was very anxious about this. And this bot that now knows me so well is like, well, okay, this is why this is happening. And this is why, and this unresolved thing here. And this is what you probably need to do to deal with it. Just understand it's not that big of a deal. And here's what you need to do. I'm like, cool. And I go right back to sleep. Right. I'm just, instead of stewing on something all night long, I'm right back to sleep. And literally I gave this, like I gave the prompt to my wife when we were flying back from New York and I looked over her and she was like crying and I'm like, it's a good bot. I'm like, this is a good bot, right? If it can bring her to tears about her stuff. But I think that of all the advancements and all the things that you can do with AI, yeah, you can make funny videos and whatever else, but dissecting your, like as long as you train the thing on the exact kind of, like your
theory, algorithm, your self-algorithm.
But on the theory that you wanted to know, like I was really just interested in exploring this through the eyes of Carl Jung and that shadow self deal. Yeah. And it really has opened my eyes to a lot of the way that I think about a lot of different things. So I totally get that. Yes, totally self-love. Big check mark with that. Totally agree.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that too, John. That's really powerful because with all the advancement in AI, you can use that a lot. My wife has trained her chat GPT for a lot of things. We do a lot of spiritual deep diving when things happen on our chat. So there's definitely that. So self-love is a big one. Number 2, which is also a massive one, which people mess up all the time, Relationships, all of them. I'm talking specifically love. People mess up love relationships, whether they're married, engaged, dating, whatever it is. There's something about the inauthenticity of us not showing up being our true selves in relationships. We sell people the idea of who we want to be versus who we truly are. One of my favorite examples, and his name is Josh, I won't say his last name, but very famous dude, good friend of mine. And I ran into him a couple of years back, and he looked better than I'd ever seen him. So I said, "Hey, Joshy, what's up, man? Like, what's wrong with you?" He's like, "Dude, I'm so happy. I have this killer job. I'm doing this thing. I got all this money. Life is flowing, right?" And I go, "Cool. Tell me more." He goes, "I went on this date with this girl." And I went, "Okay, tell me more." He goes, "The Tinder date. We sat down. We sat next to each other, and we said, all right." And he started off. He goes, "Here's who I am." This is his first date. "Here's who I am. I do a little too much cocaine. I drink a little too much. I spend my money a little bit frivolously, and I could be better about sleeping. Here's what's awesome about me. I travel the world. I'm a really loyal person. I don't cheat. I'm best friends with my mom and dad. I have a great brain. I'm really smart. I'm all these things. But those are things I'd like to work on. So I'm just going to be honest with who I am. Here it is. This is date one. The waiter or waitress had come back, and the chick looked up and was like, "What this?" And so she just said they ordered their drinks, and she paused and she goes, "Wow, that was the most refreshing thing I've ever heard. Let me tell you who I am." And then she said all the bad things and all the good things. They're still together right now.
Yeah, still locked in a hotel room doing an 8-ball because she had the same problems. That's what's going on. I'm sure. There you go. No. I'm just kidding. No.
That'd be hilarious. Hey, did you get a relapse? What happened?
Yeah.
No, but
I found my soulmate.
Yeah, and what I say about love is like we mess up love because we share with people. One of the reasons why Alicia and I work so well, and I share this with my clients a lot, my friends. This morning I had one with my friend. She goes, "Why do you and Alicia work so well?" And I said, "Because we're constantly updating our playbook. We tell each other what we're available for, what we're not available for, what we like, what we don't like, where we're expanding. If a trigger got stepped on, what are we doing? And if a trigger gets stepped on, we're big fans of like, hey, let's unpack that." Like one time she called me out. She goes, "Hey, 2014. She goes, 'Hey, you're really defensive.' And my defensive Shawn said, 'No, I'm not.'"
Yeah. Let me tell you about me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And she goes, "Hey, could you look at that?" And I said, yeah, let me look at it. And I realized it was because I was an older brother. I have a younger brother who's 46. He's 5 years younger than me. I'm 51. My sister just turned 40 last week. And so I raised my brother and sister, as a big brother, and I was always the responsible one, right? So I had this defense mechanism built inside of myself at 12 years old. I started building. So I looked at it and I got it from my childhood. And in that moment, dealing with where I got it, if you can pinpoint your trauma and release yourself from that 5-year-old self, that 6-year-old self, that 12-year-old self, and take responsibility and accountability for how it's showing up today. And I looked at my life and I was kind of defensive here and there in my friendships. So Alicia pointed out, I looked at it, and you got to be willing to open that up. So, with love and relationships, speak what you want too. A lot of people, I know you and Gidget have some beautiful things together, right? And I know enough about you guys. Obviously, I always want to know more and connect deeper, but it takes such clear communication. It takes understanding and love and all the things that we say we want, but we got to be better about how we show up in our relationships and be authentic and, step in our true us and not this standard we think we're supposed to live at. It's a lot. It's a lot there to unpack.
Well, I think people, especially when they're married, are very good at telling the other person the things that are working for them in the marriage, but they're not good at telling people the things that are not working for them in the marriage. And for me, and here's the funny thing, right?
Yeah.
I find that Gidget and I, the problems that we have are so incredibly trivial. It's just nonsensical, but we still voice, for me, it's I scrape the side of a container too loud with a plastic container with a fork. Drives me insane. I don't know why. It's completely, but when I say stuff like that, I preface it I know this is completely irrational. I know it makes no sense. I know it is insane. But when you scrape the inside of the yogurt thing, I want to smother you with a pillow, right? It's just, I know it makes no sense. But I think part of good communication is you should be allowed to say things that don't make any damn sense. And they don't make any sense, but you still get to say them because it's okay, look, that's crazy, but it's an easy fix for me. There's not I won't scrape the inside of the yogurt container it's an easy fix. I don't, and if she comes at me with something like that, I don't need to justify it either. I don't care. It's if is it an easy fix, then it's not worth fighting over, moving on. That's it.
And my relationship, I call it the switch. I turn the switch off. I'm like, oh, that annoys you. That triggers you. Cool. Let me stop that. Because it's just something I'm doing, right? So, and if there's something deeper, we dig for it. But love is another one, right? I'd say number 3 is people living in their purpose. Like when I ask people, hey, what are you here for? What's your purpose? People don't know how to answer that. Like, oh, my purpose is to do. I'm like, no, not what you to do. Like my purpose is to change the world. So I became a life coach organically. My purpose is to change the world human by human. And the reason why I started off with famous people is because they had more reach. They just had more impact. So if they're changing, their impact is global, right? So that's how I started. But organically, I love everybody and I want to change everybody's life. So purpose, figuring out their purpose, especially at milestone ages. Like obviously, guys, you saw Gidget's birthday and I was oh my God, Gidget, you look great, right? We hit these milestone numbers. Let's start with 25. So my 25-year-olds are like, third, I know we laugh. Right?
No. I'll tell you why I'm laughing, because on my 25th birthday, I got a phone call at 7:30 in the morning. It was from my father, and he said, "Happy dumbass birthday." And I went, "What? What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, see, yesterday you were 24. So if you did something dumb, people would say you were a 24-year-old kid. No such thing as a 25-year-old kid. Now you do something dumb, you're just a dumbass. So act accordingly." And that was, and he was right.
Yeah.
Wait, dude, who says 25-year-old kid? You're a grown-up at 25, or at least you better be acting like one.
Yeah, and then I love that. It does show up, right? And then you see all these different milestone ages, like 30. At 30, we're told we're supposed to be someplace, right? Have a solid career, whatever societal standard is. At 35, we're like, oh, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing in my life? No matter if you're man or woman, whatever it is, right? And then at 40, we have this, we're 40, right? That's always a big one for people, right? I just hit 50 a year and a half ago. I'm 51, about to be 52 this year. And it's like, when I hit 50, I was like, ooh, this is cool. I had to look at myself and go, okay, well, am I living my purpose? Am I being true to what I really need in this lifetime? Am I being an honest and amazing human being? I was checking some boxes. And then I said, all right, what do I want my 50s to look like? And I realized I had something. I don't know if this ever resonates for you at all too, John, but I realized on all my careers, I had to prove myself to get to some place. I had to be the best host of every event. I had to be the best GM. I had to be the best choreographer, dancer. I had to be the best life coach. And at 50, I divorced that idea. That's the one thing that I saw for myself that was still running me. I was still proving to myself and others that I was the best at everything. Why? Because when I was 6 years old, my mom and dad got divorced. That little kid was running a 50-year-old man going, hey, keep proving yourself. You'll get love and attention and affection. It's unpacking the traumas. That unowned trauma at 50, I saw it and I was like, oh man, I'm still trying to prove myself in life. What is that, Shawn? And I had to look at myself in the mirror and really release that and divorce that thing. And that's what it's about. It's like facing all those things. So from, your self-love where I started to love and to now purpose, it takes some unpacking. It takes people looking at themselves and really dealing with it. That's a lot of stuff I'm dealing with right now.
Well, I love that idea about the age milestones and what you should or shouldn't be doing. I had said, like, the thing that's probably hit me, like, I was like, what are you talking about? Was I just got back, me and some friends took a trip to Antarctica and rappelled down a glacier in the middle of Antarctica.
Nice.
And where we were, more people climb Everest every year than go to the interior of Antarctica. And that's where we were. And it was a huge trip. And here's the thing, like, we had this crazy trip to South Africa and we were there for 10 days. And the thing that keeps sticking in my mind is on the way back, I had a 36-hour layover in Dubai. Okay. And so randomly, a bunch of very high-level entrepreneurs that I know were in Dubai for an event. So I was like, you're in Dubai? I'm in Dubai. So we all hooked up and we all went to dinner. And one of the guys who's a really good dude was like, where did you go? And he, nice, this is a nice guy, but he's like a young guy. He's like 32. And he's like, where did you go? And I'm like, well, we did this. And I showed him the video. I'm like, rappelling the glacier. He's like, bro, he's like, people your age don't do stuff like that. And I'm like, what?
Like,
what are you talking? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, people my age, like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, you're like, in your 50s. Like, people don't do. I'm like, well, like, it never even occurred to me that, like, I shouldn't be doing, like, it just never even crossed my mind. And I'm like, what are you, like, huh? And I every day I'm like, it wasn't a shot. It was genuine, surprise that oh, you're still out there doing it. Good for you, buddy. I'm like, bro, I'm like, in my mind, I was talking to Gidget about this. I'm like, I'm perpetually 32 years old in my brain. That's kind of where I just I don't think I feel any different physically or mentally than I have since I've been 32 years old. I just kind of feel the same. And that's kind of where in my brain, I guess I am age-wise, but it just never occurred to me that I should know guys my age don't do stuff like that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
So
releasing this, that's a great story about
so now, hang on. So there's more to it. So now, then you go to the flip side and you're like, I mean, I'm not buying a Corvette and a captain's hat. So you're like, am I having some kind of a weird, midlife crisis? Is that why I'm doing all this crazy stuff? No, it's just, I'm just doing the same kind of stuff that I've always done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, but what right there is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? Like me at 51, I don't have it there's something out of my reach. I just go live life. And Alicia, and I'll call you this because she calls me, she goes, "You're an alien, Shawn. Don't compare yourself to anybody. You do things, say things, be certain ways. A 51-year-old guy, a 41-year-old, 45, there's nobody like you." And John, you're in that category. You're an alien, dude. You don't think, oh, I'm in my 50s, I shouldn't do this. You go, oh, cool, I'm gonna go do that. South Africa, let's do all that stuff. And it's just that's another thing I think people are getting stuck with, especially since COVID hit the world. We started kind of giving ourselves shit about where we're supposed to be at a certain time in life. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine this morning, and she was talking about it. She's turning 40 in April. And she's like, I feel like I haven't really done anything in my life. And I said, please shut up and listen. I ranted for 10 minutes because I've known her since 2017. And I coached her back then. I still coach her now. And I told her accomplishments since I've known her at 31 to now, right? 39. I told her what she's done. And she goes, oh, I guess I have done some stuff, huh? That's the thing. We don't give ourselves credit. We don't celebrate small wins. We don't celebrate ourselves. We don't celebrate that we got out of bed today and dressed up and went to work. We don't do that. We're constantly stressing ourselves. And, that's another layer of things that we got to get rid of. Another current thing I'm doing with a lot of my people is rediscovering yourself outside of your stress and your responsibilities.
Yeah.
What do you, besides all the things that you're doing and balls you're juggling and businesses you have, and I'm a corporate speaker, keynote speaker. I speak on stages around the world. I'm not obsessing about that all the time. Yes, when it's time to do that, I put on the jacket, I put on the coat, go, right? Got on the plane, go, right? And my coaching, I love my people. I stay in touch with them, but I'm not obsessing over that. There's balance. And people have to get better about balance. So I'm teaching a lot of my people balance and me time. We're doing a lot of schedule of me time where a lot of my moms are struggling because they're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, stop, me time. Half hour a day, unplug from everybody and do that. I just yelled at my friend yesterday about it.
Well, I think it's one of the most important things you can do as an entrepreneur is really understand. And what a lot of entrepreneurs that I do a lot of consulting for equity as well. And the first thing when you meet a founder, one of the first questions is always, if you were to leave for a month, what would happen? And if it's like, oh man, everything would fall apart. Okay, then dude, you don't own a company. You own a job. Because everything depends on you. Yeah. And I can say for probably the first time in 14 years, maybe 15 years, I left for 10 days. And and look, I've got great people that handle all of my stuff for me and run all of our companies for me. But I got back and I was still like, okay, I'm jet lagged like crazy, but I'm still going in today because I know I'm going to get the list of the disasters that I got to deal with. And there was nothing. Everything was fine. Sure, things happened while I was gone, but everything I handled, all the problems were fine. Everybody was happy. No issues whatsoever. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, cool.
Nice.
And that tells you, you can do this again and it's going to be okay because we have built those systems and processes in place and with great people surrounding you to enable you to do that. And I think if you're an entrepreneur that's struggling with a lot of what you're talking about, you got to figure out how to kind of get yourself out of the way so you can have those little mini adventures.
Oh man, and exactly right. And John, you're nailing it. So I'm going to point this finger back at you. What you did is what I teach people often. A lot of my CEOs and people like that, I teach them the art of delegation. the art of trust, showing them the playbook, walking them through, putting systems and structures in place so that people have access to thrive at the job they're working for you or with you. When I started my events company and I started hiring sub promoters for my company, I taught them everything I knew. I didn't keep any secrets. I said, hey guys, this is how I do this, that, call the city, do that, blah, blah, blah. I taught them everything. This is the owner's name. This is what he owns and all the properties. This is the place where a entire group are doing this. And then I taught them everything, right? So if you empower people, find out who the fuck they are. Ask them about them, their dreams, their hopes, their wishes, their strengths, their weaknesses, and get clear about who that person is and put them in a place where they can thrive. And anything they need help with, be that leader, not manager, not boss, but be the leader that shows them how to do it or opens up that door. And then you got to trust them. And it sounds like what you did is you communicated well. I'm going to point out some great things. Communicated well. Trusted your team. Put systems and structures in place. You unplugged, so you gave yourself that goal, and then you actually believed that you could do it. So you were gone for those 10 days and came back in no fires. I put that back at you and Gidget and the team.
Well, I would also say that a lot of that is just you've also got to get absolutely committed to hiring A players, and if they're not an A player, they got to go because we get in business, especially if you have a big ship with a lot of moving parts, sometimes you fill a hole with somebody and you're like, okay, that spot's good. I can move on to the next thing. And even though it might not be the best thing, you leave it there because you get like this. It's easier to leave that person there than try to bring somebody else in. And I think that was a mistake that I made for years. And now I'm to the point where, it's got to be a hell yes or it's hell no. And as soon as you get in a maybe, if you're maybe for me, then you're hell no, and you got to go.
You're nicer than me. Mine is a fuck yes or a fuck no.
But you have to do that, right? Yeah. And who you choose to surround yourself with is it will make your life easy or hard. And that's from your spouse to your assistant to your COO to your CFO.
Hey, and I just want to kind of circle back to something. So first of all, that was beautiful what you just shared, but I want to, the point that you brought up about me going through my trauma and the whole situation. You are not defined by your trauma. I'm just going to tell people, whoever's watching this and gets, present to what we're saying here, it's like we get to say who we are in the face of breakdowns. And one of the things I had to keep telling myself and retrain myself when I was going through that depression was, Shawn, this is just a moment. It's just a chapter. It's just an unfortunate situation. Who are you going to be every day to better yourself, to get yourself to a place of, healthy mindsets? So I kept fueling myself. And that's what we do is, unfortunately, we give ourselves such shit and we ride ourselves so hard that we don't give ourselves the chance to actually forgive ourselves. Like a big thing I've been going through with a lot of my friends is people I'm coaching is self-forgiveness and not being hard on yourself and easing up on yourself, especially as entrepreneurs who have multiple companies and things like that. It's like, you got to ease up on yourself. Yes, still be diligent and consistent, but ease up on yourself. And the big thing about going through, anybody who's listening to this has gone through some major trauma, unpack the trauma. Ask yourself, what are you saying to yourself on a daily basis after it happened? It already happened, right? You can't change that outcome, right? So who can you be in the face of it now, day one, minute one, and start to retrain your brain, having different conversations. Like the last time I've been on a podcast to even talk about this was probably 3, maybe 4 years ago. I don't talk about it anymore. I completed the energy. I had my piece with the gentleman who hit me. I got complete with all the stuff around it. Anybody who asked me about it, I told them the whole thing. I'm complete about it. I am not that. It's a thing that happened. Or as my friend Brad, one of my besties says, he says, it's a book on the shelf. Well,
it's the equivalent of walking in, somebody asks you what you do, and you're like, I'm a Little League baseball player. No, you did that when you were 10. It's not what you do now.
Exactly.
I wish some realtors would learn that about their headshots, that it's okay to move on from that headshot from 1985. But don't get me started on the realtor head.
I can see it in your face.
It used to, okay, it's gotten worse now because it used to be like the same picture from 1985. And now it's like, make me look like a 25-year-old supermodel AI headshot. Yes. And I'm going to go with that. And it was like, the first thing I don't want people to do when they meet me is go, okay. I can see it. That makes sense. Yeah, it makes no sense. No. I digress. I
totally get that. Yeah. So that I kind of want to leave everybody with that. Like, okay, so who are you going to be for yourself this year? My thing this year, and I'm just going to give everybody listening out there what I'm doing, my clients and friends, is I gave them this new exercise for the year. And here's the exercise. declarations, no resolutions. We're going to declare declarations that we want to be this year. We're actually going to set intentions. We're going to set goals and set new ways of being. And we're doing quarter by quarter. For my quarter heads who operate in corporate America and corporate structures and brains, it seems to work to keep them inspired for those 90 days, 92 days, right? So we do it in my quarters, right? So January 1st to March 31st, April 1st to June 30th, like that, right? Quarters. And I've noticed that I'm giving people, we're creating five in each category. So I'll share some months, 5 declarations for me, right? For me, one of them is booking at least one corporate gig per month that I speak on the stage. That's one declaration. What I'm doing behind that is talking to my big corporate companies to hire me for it, right? My PR firm to get me on stages and places I need to be. That's what I'm doing to make that happen, right? And intention this year, for me, spend more quality time with my son and our daughter, with Finn and Viva. You saw Finn, he just rolled in here. It's like be more available to my family, right? That's an intention I have. So now I have to slow down, unplug at certain times and go, okay, I'm done being Coach Shawn or Speaker Shawn and go author Shawn, go be with the family, right? A goal I have this year, go back to Florida and spend quality time with my mom, my brother, and my sister, and just be with them, unplug for 4 days, 5 days, whatever it looks like, right? And then having like ways of being that challenge you. And you know me well enough. And so, Gidget, one of my challenges this year I'm struggling and sucking at is being quiet. I'm practicing being quiet.
Good. Yeah. It's so, the world would be a better place if we could just go back to everybody not having to have an opinion on every single thing. One of the most, if you're listening to this, let me tell you one of the one phrase that will set you free, which is this: I don't have an opinion on that. You want to like, I don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion.
You know, and no offense to anybody listening to this at all, right? But yes, we do impose our opinions on people when people don't really ask us. Like there's times this past week or two, I've been sitting in my home and watching my Alicia talk to our friends or whatever, and I just sit and listen. I don't try and fix or coach or contribute or anything. A friend of mine came over on Sunday for Super Bowl Sunday, and she's studying hypnotherapy and becoming a hypnotherapist. She came into my house, the house of coaching, and she's like, and she's one of my good friends, and she just wanted this whole like hour-long rant of tools that I should use for my sessions. You know what I did? I just listened. I listened.
Yeah.
And she's like, Shawn, you should use this. You should use this. I'll send you all my stuff. And I'm like, thank you. I get that was her way of saying.
And is she a coach though? Is she a coach at all?
She's working towards becoming a coach. She already has a natural gift for herself. And she's in her mid-50s. She's lived some life, right? So she's got some stuff behind her. And some of her stuff was gold. But because I'm practicing being quiet, I didn't cut her off or disagree or say, she told me things I already do. I've been doing for 10 years.
So it's funny you say that because by the time this comes out, this will already be out. So I have a newsletter that goes out every Wednesday.
I read it.
The Wednesday wake up, right? The Wednesday wake up. Yeah. And so I normally, it's just little things will happen in my life and I'll just be like, it's whatever. And I start kind of researching how I feel or what I think about it or ways to get better. And you'll appreciate this so much as a life coach. Why people are programmed to seek advice from those close to them that are completely unqualified to give said advice is one of the great mysteries that I know. So a girl that I know shared this, I guess she's newly single, but she shared this long diatribe that this woman had written on Facebook about why men are failing in relationships. And it was this long diatribe about why we are screwing up and where we need to commit more in relationships. And of course, so out of curiosity, I click on her profile and I'm going to give you one guess if she's married or not.
Come on.
No. So, and I'm there thinking taking marital advice from a single person is like hiring a fat person to be your dietitian.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But we want to seek out information that makes us comfortable with ourselves, which is normally from the people closest to us, rather than seeking out people that are qualified.
You know why I do too, John? Enrollment.
What's up?
We're enrolling people and being on our team so we can be justified in our thoughts and our actions. So we get people that aren't qualified because of people like me that are. I change that for you, ship that for you, point out the flaws in your statements, right? But the people they're telling are unqualified because they want them to be like, oh yeah, you know, Joan, I don't know why I said Joan, but hey, Joan, I understand. Yeah, you're right. Because it fuels them being stuck. stay in familiar cycles. That's why my infinity logo is my logo and my brand, my company, because we do this circle. We stay stuck. We keep doing the same things over and over again. And that's, again, definition of insanity, right? So that's what we do. We enroll the wrong people because then we get to say justified, right? Our ego gets to stay in check like, oh, fuck that guy or fuck that girl or whatever it is, right? That's one of the fatal flaws of humans. They do it all the time. I see it all the time.
The echo chamber that gets increasingly worse every single day. I mean, when when the halftime show at the Super Bowl becomes a major political event, what are we doing?
Yeah, there's a lot there.
What are we doing?
There's a lot there.
It's funny. I made a comment about that, and I look at everything through a business lens. Everything is always a business lens. So I made the comment, and this is what I wrote on Facebook, which I wrote. That was quite a spectacle, which it was. It was an incredible spectacle. I said, albeit only 14% of the U.S. population speaks Spanish, so I'm wondering if they missed the TAM, meaning total accessible market. It was my question. That was it. And I'm looking at that from a business lens. It was no, Trump bad, this person good. Like I hate it. And dude, some of the comments that came below that were like, yeah, that's a racist thing to say. I'm like, what? Did you even read what I wrote? Or are you just looking through Facebook, hitting people? And it was nuts. And the truth of it is, the truth of that story, and I had like 3 people write same comments that were like, no. You got to understand the NFL's trying to get for a global market. They knew they were going to concede. They already have the old white guys in America. They're not going to turn it off. They're trying to grow the brand. They're trying to grow the brand internationally into Latin America.
Yeah. That
made total sense. That's a quality answer that makes business sense to me. It had nothing to do with anything else. But of course, you still got to have 1 million people that have their own opinion in their tribes because it's nuts. Yeah.
Honestly, it was that part. I'm part Panamanian and Dutch. My dad's from Panama, Colombia, Spain, Jamaica. We're from Brazil, and my mom's side of the family were Dutch, from the Netherlands, from Holland, from Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, like that's the Dominican Republic. I saw so many of the flags I grew up with, and I saw some of my flags, and I was like, that just touched me to see all those flags in that moment. And as a choreographer dancer, I saw all my people. I danced.
Spectacle.
I danced.
It was a spectacle.
I grew up on cha-cha-cha, rumba, all that stuff. That's me. That's pieces I've done. So I saw that, and I just like, it was emotional for me. I was really touched, but it was a political statement. And there were some moments.
But again, I don't think it was a political statement. I think it was the NFL. I think it was the NFL trying to grow into Latin America. I think
100%.
I think social media made it a political event.
I mean, there was some stuff underneath it, but I know that Bad Bunny got chosen to get new audiences. Period.
Yes. That was it.
And because he's a great performer and he's one of the most celebrated performers in Latin America, period, right now. So, it was a great business move.
And listen, like I told my wife, if Norwegian death metal was the number 1 selling act in the world right now, it would have been like, that's what it would have been, right? Because they're just trying to grow their reach any way they can. I get it. So number 1, if they want to find you, how do they find you, Shawn?
Okay, so everybody, first of all, thank you for your time and all that good stuff. I give out my phone number, my website, the whole thing. So my website is www.shawnantonio.com, ShawnAntonio. Look me up. You'll see all my referrals and people that send stuff and all my classes and all the social media and all that good stuff. I actually also am a huge texter and phone caller. I'm old school like that. I don't DM. So anybody wants to DM me, you can find me at Shawn Antonio Life Coaching. Very concentrated culture of people who follow me. So ShawnAntonio Life Coaching in Instagram. And then you can just text me. Shoot me a text. If something that resonated for you today that you heard, text me at 310-428-5017. Just text me and say, Shawn, I heard you with John. I heard some points you talk. Let's talk. Love to work with you. Love to do some stuff with you. I'm all about taking you from where you're at to where the fuck you want to go. That's it. Yep. In any aspect of your life. And that's what I do. So find me anywhere. Text me, find me on my website, or just reach out on. I will start DMing. My friends will give me shit about it. I will start DMing, but you can just shoot me a text. Say, Shawn, let's connect, and I'll meet you exactly where you're at, and we'll create some magic in your life. It's that simple. I got 23 years of doing this and changing lives and seeing people's results, and it's beautiful to see what people get. So Find me. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it as always. Thanks so much. Well, guys, if you listen to that today, man, number one, what a great guest, dude. I love having people on that bring the fire, and Shawn definitely did that. And remember, whether you're using a bot, whether you're using a life coach, whether you're just using your spouse, the key to your personal happiness and probably advancing yourself as a human lies within you. And you got to do the work to go figure out what that looks like for you. We'll see you next time. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Escaping the Drift. Hope you got a bunch out of it, or at least as much as I did out of it. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the show, you can always go over to escapingthedrift.com. You can join our mailing list. But do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, throw up that 5-star review, give us a share, do something, man. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you at the next episode.